Hi everybody, Mr. Bowser here. We're starting chapter 7, and that means percent. So we have a good knowledge base. We're going to do a lot of application with percents in different ways this chapter. So first thing we want to do is go back through and really get an understanding and how to kind of manipulate and work with percents. So that's kind of today's lesson. Think about what is a percent. All right. Well, per from our last chapter means for every one, right? Per. Thinking about miles per hour is for every 1 hour, and cent is for 100, right? So percent together would mean for every 100. So how many out of 100? And really, percent is used for when we have decimals or when we have fractions that maybe are a little unlike and are hard to compare. Percent is a way for everybody to kind of deal with and be able to compare and understand what they mean, how many it is out of 100. So even if it's not out of 100, you're kind of like bullying the number to be out of 100 when you change it to a percent, and then it's very easy to compare. So if we think about writing each percent as a decimal and a fraction, right? So 32%, well, percent again means how many hundredths. So the percent is the hundredths. So 32% means 32 to end in the hundredths place. So that would be 0.32. 450 hundredths would be 4.50, or we would probably write 4.5, wouldn't we? Alright, so no big deal for those two. Gets a little trickier when you're talking about 3.5%. So this is 3.5 hundredths. Well, 3 hundredths would be 0.03, and then 3.5 hundredths would mean there's 35 thousandths. It would equal the same thing. So 0.035. A lot of us are going to just think, well, I'm going to take the decimal point and I'm going to move it 2 places. So it becomes 0.035. Alright. So I want us to think about this. This is not a decimal. It is a percent. It's a decimal percent because it's part of 1. It does not even 1 whole percent. 1% would be 0.01. So this is less than that, and this is 0.0075 would be the decimal. If I read that, it would be 75 ten-thousandths. 0.006%, this is extremely small. If we move the decimal place 2 places, we get 0.00006. Get up there, bump. There we go. 82% is going to be 0.82, or 82 hundredths. And 5,000%, the decimal point in the percent would be right there. So if we move it 2 places, it's really 50. Or 5,000 hundredths, 5,000 over 100. If we 5,000 that ends in the hundredths place would be 50.00. Clearly, I wouldn't write the 00. So it's just 50. Okay, thinking about it again as fraction, it's hundredths. Percent is hundredths, so that's the denominator. So 32 hundredths. And then I would reduce it. Okay, I know I'm going to divide out 2 2's here, or 4, so that's 8/25. It's got to be simplified or reduced. 450, 4.5, how about 4 1/2? Or 9 halves, I suppose. 3.5%. A lot of times it might be easier to write it into the decimal version first. See, that's 0.035. It ends in the thousandths place. This would be 35 thousandths. I've got to divide out of 5. Is going to need to be 7/200ths. The nice thing again about these decimals that end here is that I'm only looking for factors of 2 and 5 to get rid of. 75 over 10,000. And I can divide a 25 out of there, so it becomes 3 over whatever 10,000 is divided by 25. 250. Who's got a calculator? $400. Not even close, Bossard. Sorry. Every once in a while I get one wrong. Okay. This is going to be 6 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000, hundred thousandths. So 6 over 100,000. I'm going to divide a 2 out of there. It's going to be 3 out of 3 over 50,000. 82% is 82 over 100. It's 41/50ths. And 50, whole number, is 50. Ta-da! Alright, the opposite of that is to write the decimal as a percent. Again, we can just go ahead and move the decimal point. So this is going to be 0.5%. And again, the check here, what I want you to think about is, where does it look like in the hundredths place? There's no hundredths, it's 5, so it's 5 in the thousandths, so that's not even 1 whole percent. This one, in the hundredths place, I can't even see the hundredths place. Right, there it is, so it would be 570%. 0.25 is 25 hundredths, so this is 0.25. 25%. Wow. And in the hundredths place is 0, so it's 0.09%. 30 in the hundredths, right? To add some stuff to get to the hundredths place is really going to be 3,000%. 5.9 is 590%. 0.8% and 420%. So yes, I moved the decimal point twice in all of these. But again, I want to think it out. What does the thing look like in the hundredth place? How many hundredths is it? This is, in the hundredths place, it's still 0. There's 0.09 hundredths, so 0.09%. And I think one of the last things we do, we're going to change this fraction to a percent. I can do a couple different ways. I can just divide it. If I divide on my calculator 37 divided by 50, I get 0.74, so 74%. If I can get the denominator equal to 100, then the numerator is the percent. And so if I change this times by 2 over 2, it becomes 74 over 100. So it's 74%. Or I can set up a proportion and solve, right? I can do cross products. 50x equals 3,700. And I get 74. So I would get x equals 74. So then it's 74%. For this one, I'm not going to be able to get the denominator equal to 100 because 3 doesn't go into 100. But this is, you know, if we think it's 1 and 1/3, we know 1/3 is 33 1/3%. So it's 133.3 repeating percent. You can say 133 1/3%. 5/12. I would probably divide it out. 5 divided by 12 equals 0.416 with a 6 repeating. So this is 41.6% repeating. You could say it's 41 2/3% if you want to do it that way. Either one would be good. And 3/10 we can make 30% because it's 30 hundredths. So application, randomly choose a letter from a bag that contains 20 letters. There are 5 vowels and the rest are consonants, meaning 15. The probability that you choose a consonant would be 15 out of 20. And then I would multiply this one. This one I would do, right, multiply by 5 to get 75%. And I think that's the end of this section. So from this, being able to go back and forth, you know, you're not going to get ones probably that are 4/5. Change that to a percent. They're going to be a little bit more tricky. We've got to think about how many hundredths, and that's the key there. It is percent is hundredths. All right, we'll have a problem set for this, and thanks very much. Namaste.